Hi everyone, and welcome to Busybird Publishing. This is our Wednesday Live, and we are interrogating our writer today. But first of all, my name is Blaze, and this is...
Oh, Les. What are you going to do it for me?
And we're excited to have Michelle and Paul with us today.
Yes, thank you.
Now Michelle has published 2 books with Busybird Publishing. But first we're going to find out a bit about the background of these books before we go into the actual books. Now, Michelle, tell us a little bit about you and Paul.
May I introduce you to Cardboard Paul. Paul was my husband, and he passed away in May 2016 from a rare melanoma, which was in the spine. And through that whole journey, he had 5 spinal surgeries and 1 brain surgery. And
what are you doing?
Yes, he's talking. And so he had 1 brain surgery in a 12-month period. On top of that, he had radiation, Keytruda, rehabilitation. So after he passed away, we had a lot of difficulty with his treatment and a whole heap of things with his surgery. And after he passed away, I also had trouble trying to close his estate.
Okay.
So after he passed away, it took me 12 weeks to get his death certificate, 9 weeks to get his ashes, and then I had issues trying to get the title of our house, which took me 12 months. So
is that because why? Is that normally how long these things take?
No, apparently not. But for some reason, whilst I was going through all this, and it was a very emotional time after losing my soulmate, I said, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Why? So probably 2 or 3 weeks after he passed away, I was on Facebook, and I received some advertising for a book writing weekend, and I went to that, and everything flowed from there. So I was directed
After you left the weekend.
After you left the weekend. After I left the weekend. Yes, everything flowed. Well, I had the book written before I got to that weekend, but anyway.
But that was obviously gave you impetus to go, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
if
it
I
did.
write about this is going to help me articulate things, or...
Not really. Like when I went to that workshop, as soon as I wrote down what the story is about, I got the title for the book, I got exactly what I was going to write about. Because when I got there, I had no idea. So by the half a day workshop, I had it down. I was guided. It just came to me.
Yeah.
So I started writing the book. That was in the June, and by November, when I got to the weekend, I had finished the book, and on the Monday, I emailed it to you, complete manuscript of the book. So, but I wrote the book purely because I had a lot of issues with the medical system, the government systems. And I thought, well, I'm an extremely intelligent woman. I've got a business background, and if I struggled, how would people that were non-English, elderly, that had no idea, how would they cope going through the process that I just went through? So I didn't want anyone else to go through what I went through. So that's the reason why I wrote that book.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you find the publishing process?
I loved it. I loved you guys. And I wouldn't have written the second book and published it through you if I didn't. With self-publishing, because we don't go through the mainstream, going through Busybird, I found it was fantastic. You hold my hand through the whole process. You're on the end of the phone if I needed anything. Going through the editing process was fairly easy and simple, and the timelines, when you said you were going to deliver something, it was delivered, and then I returned it back fairly quickly. So, and to get to launch the book was an amazing experience too. So, it was a good journey actually. Loved it.
Cool. You got any questions?
No.
Very comprehensive.
So maybe
Wasn't you, Paul?
maybe you can tell me
why
is
this?
Paul a cardboard cutout?
So on whilst Paul was terminal and on 3 months before he passed away, I said to him, "What do you want to do?" And he said, "Oh, look, because we only had 4 or 5 months left." And I said, do you want a family gathering? He said, yeah, I love a family gathering. So I organised a family gathering. Our daughter's 21st birthday was in the April, his mother's 90th birthday, and our wedding anniversary was 25 years. So we renewed our vows. So he had goals to reach. So probably a week or two before he passed away, he was sitting in bed because he was bedbound by then, and he said, we talked about a lot of things about death and dying, and he said to me, what are you going to do when I'm gone? And I said, I'm going to go travelling. And I said, he says, you're not, are you? I said, yeah, I'm going to go travelling. And I said, I'm going to get a photo of you, pack you in the suitcase, and I'm going to take you out and take photos of us. This is actually Paul,
like take two.
This is take two, Paul.
Yes. The other one got worn out.
He was worn out from the first, that 2017 tour. So I said, I'm going to take you travelling with me. And he said, you're not, are you? I said, yeah, I'm going to. He said, you're not. I said, yes. So at that moment, because I prepared Paul for death, he prepared me for life. Yeah. And with him sort of egging me on and daring me to go travelling, that's what I did. So in 2017, as a huge, big Paul McCartney fan, I booked 2 tickets to go and see Paul McCartney in New York. So I was at Madison Square Gardens and New Jersey. So I booked this amazing tour for 9 weeks around America, and then we did Texas, New York, Texas. Then we did, I did Paris, and we always wanted to go to Paris. And then I did a 20-day tour around Britain and Ireland. And that's where hashtag travellingwithcardboardpaul was created.
Yeah, cool. And what sort of reactions did you get from people?
They just, well, it's interesting because they love the idea. They say how courageous I am, how brave I am, or they love the story. So whilst I'm travelling with him, we are just sharing our story, and it actually taps into people that have lost loved ones. And for me, I am actually showing people that I am living after his death and losing a loved one, purely because if I didn't and I just curled up in a ball and died, he would not be very happy with me. He'd be devastated that I did that. So for him, he wanted me to live my life to the fullest, and that's what I'm doing now. And I'm having so much fun meeting some beautiful people and
me.
And you, yes, I did meet you, and you guys. So after, because if he hadn't have passed away, I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. These books wouldn't be written. We would have just gone through our everyday life and would have travelled, but not the way that I've done now. And I just travel with him. And this year, and I've just come back. Probably in October, I came back, and we did Scotland and Paris. And I did Ireland again, and
so you were talking about the other book?
Yes, so I'm actually hashtag travelling with Paul. I actually did a publicity tour around Ireland, but whilst I was in Scotland, I was getting phone calls. I was in the on the UK Sun, the Mirror in Ireland, so I had publicity with newspaper, radio. And then I ended up on Dublin TV live with Ray Darcy, which was surreal. So that was an amazing experience. But we in the hashtag Travelling with Paul, we've got some really weird, funny stories that happened to us, and it was an amazing experience.
Oscar's just checking that.
He's having a read of the book.
I think as a culture, we are not good about talking about death.
No,
would you agree with that?
I totally agree.
Because you come
talk about it all the time.
You come from a European background.
Yeah.
Do you find?
They talk about it all the time.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the parents are like, I'll be dead one day, so they do. It's
Oh, that's a guilt.
Yeah, that's
the guilt.
That's their parent.
But in terms of talking about even just the practical things about do you want to be cremated or buried?
Oh, I've told you.
Do families
I've talked about it with you. I've told you I want to be stuffed and left at my desk.
Okay.
Well, Paul wanted pizza boxes surrounded with him instead of a coffin. But I agree. People don't want to talk about it. It's such a taboo subject, but we need to talk about it. We need to plan.
Yeah, because otherwise other people have that same experience.
Exactly, and they don't know. At least Paul sort of gave me an idea of what he wanted, but it wasn't up until about probably a week before he passed away that he didn't know whether he wanted to be buried or cremated.
Yeah.
So we had that discussion. I said, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's your choice, but we just don't have those conversations.
I'm ahead of the curve. I've already told you what I want.
Well, mine's already planned. I
Yes.
just said to the kids, whatever we did for their father, do exactly for me. Everything's all there prepared.
Yeah.
But there's, you know, when people die, they don't tell you whether they want to be buried or cremated.
Yeah.
They don't tell you anything. They
Don't even think about it.
They
Because
don't. We're not going to die. You know, we're going to be here
unless
forever.
you're up in your 80s, you might, obviously that starts
Or
to,
ill.
or really ill, then it doesn't really occur to you
Exactly.
that we are,
That's right.
we are all going to die. We all
That's
should
right.
be thinking about it. We should all be having that conversation with our
Loved ones.
whoever
Yeah.
who is now close.
Live forever.
You're going to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they are starting to talk about it now with the Dying to Know movement, and the health industry is now coming in with the plans that, you know, what do you want to do when you die, or if you know, do you want to be resuscitated? So a lot of that's the health industry are now pushing and promoting, which is a good thing because. And now we've got assisted dying in Victoria, which is fantastic. And we were, you know, like unless you've gone through a terminal illness and, you know, walked beside somebody who has done that, you know, like Paul wanted to die in dignity, and unfortunately he sort of didn't have that chance.
Doesn't always pan out that
Doesn't
way, does
always.
it?
No.
Yeah.
That's just funny.
Sorry?
The dream is to die peacefully in your sleep
Sleep.
at night. And very few people actually get that. Most
No, they
people
don't.
die, you know, long, prolonged, some sort of debilitating condition. Even aging is just debilitating.
Yeah, of course.
And you lose faculties and physical function and stuff like that. So very few people actually have that dream of just dying in their sleep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, like, you have these 2 books now, what's next?
The third book.
The third book, yes, the third book is, I've started writing, because I was going to do another Travelling with Cardboard, but whilst I was travelling and starting to write notes, it just didn't feel right, and I'm thinking, well, why put another book out which is very same, just a little bit different story. So what I'm doing with the trip I've just done is actually writing blogs, so they're up on my website and I'm sharing them on my Facebook page.
What's your website address?
It's michelleburke.com.au.
How do you spell Burke?
Bourke.
How do you spell Michelle?
MICHELLE.com.
It's a C or a K?
It's a C.
And the www, how do you spell that?
Yes, www.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It might be a silent P.
In
No.
terms of though, I mean, the book isn't just what you do. You also, you know, you're building up, you know, kind of a business
I am.
around these books, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
So my aim is to, my next book's going to be Death, Dying and Beyond. So I am actually in the process of starting that. And getting some help from beyond,
Yes.
as I am, because I am a medium, so I have been
So literally a ghostwriter.
a ghostwriter. Yes, so Paul, ghostwriter. So after Paul passed away, and I write about it in conversations with Paul. You know, the next day after he passed away, I started walking my dog Ollie, and I said, "Good morning, darling. How are you?" And I got, "Good morning. How are you?" And from then we've
dog
had
said
those
that to you?
conversations. Dog, Paul.
Sorry.
A late husband. So we've started having those conversations. So that's been a comfort for me of being able to actually still communicate with him. I am a medium, so I have got a big belief in spiritualism. We are actually energy, and we're a soul and a body, and we move on. So I am actually doing, in relation to the Travelling with #TravellingWithCardboardPaul, is I'm aiming to do some speaking events and keynote speaking, and trying to promoting the book through libraries and other
Bookshops and
workbook,
yep.
yes, exactly, bookshops, and trying to get some speaking gigs in maybe palliative care, you know, cancer, and just showing people that, you know, this is how, you know, what's happened through my journey, and telling the story, and as I've go travelling overseas, I've been able to do that with touching people and also hearing their stories too, because while I'm sharing mine, they're sharing
Yeah.
theirs as well, and I've heard some amazing stories where that's going to be put in the death, dying and beyond of
Yeah.
other people's experience of losing a loved one and how they've coped, and
Yeah.
from there.
Do you see yourself as a death doula or not quite in that sphere?
No, I did do the death doula stuff,
Yeah.
and amazing. They are an amazing group of people that actually do that. But as much as I loved it and would love to do it, but it's not for me. I'm
I have
being
no idea what you're
rejected.
talking about. Who's like that?
A death doula is...
Oh, hang on, Sam, do you know?
I've got an idea.
Oh, I forgot. What is it then?
Yeah, well, do you want to explain
No,
what
I
a
mean,
death
Sam to
doula
explain.
does? No, she's got an idea, but maybe...
She's got an idea. I've actually done the course.
I have no idea.
Death doulas are actually come in and assist the family when someone's dying. Well, it can be at home or in a facility like a palliative care
Yeah.
facility. So they actually come in and assist the family. They will give some respite to the family that are actually working with, the one that is
full-time carer
and it's a
or something.
full-time carer.
Yeah.
They actually will assist with, especially when we're talking about what they want, how they want to die, and also setting goals for them. They can also provide you, directions in, how to be buried. There is also the environmental impact on burials now, and there's a lot of green burials. They can also assist you with, if you want your loved one kept at home for a little bit longer than just, in and out, which I wanted to do, but I wasn't allowed. But anyway, my kids wouldn't allow me because they thought it was very macabre that, to keep Paul in for another 24 hours. But they'll be able to assist you with that. So, it's more flexible and you actually have a say in that. So the death doula can actually help you with that and direct you with
Well, they
where
know
you
the
need to go.
questions to
Of course
ask,
they
don't
do.
Whereas
They-
you don't, unless you've been through it, you don't know the questions.
No, you
to
don't.
ask. Yeah.
And for me, like when I was caring for him and going through his process, I would have loved to have a death doula beside me instead of going through the mainstream of the medical and the health profession, because that's very, they can be very clinical and cold.
Yeah.
But a death doula actually becomes, if you get them in early enough, they actually become a part of your, sort of part of the family. And I had that with palliative care nurses, but they go that one step further.
Okay, so a bit like a midwife at the other end.
Exactly. Well, they do have birth doulas as well,
Yeah.
so they actually do the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can have from birth to death.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cool. All right, so the next book, what sort of time frame are we looking at?
I'm starting to write it, so I tend to take about 6 months. I like to, 1 year I'll write, and the following year I'll publish. So
Yeah.
that was 2017 and then 19. So in between I wrote.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping probably mid next year I'll have it finished, depending on how
Yeah.
things pan out with keynote speaking.
Yeah.
If I get to travel, I'm going travelling again next year. So depending on how that pans out, but I've got time now
Yeah.
to sit and write.
And as well as the keynote speaking, do you do readings for people, or what sort
Yes,
of
I do. So
development do you do?
being a medium, I started, I've been working and talking to my guides for over 30 years. I have have spiritual consultation, so I help people that are seeking. They know that there's something out there, but they don't know quite. So
Yeah.
I'm connected to an organisation that provides workshops and courses in regards to spiritualism.
Yeah.
So I've got that sort of on the side, but for me, I do it. I'm starting to do the psychic expos again,
Yeah.
so to do some readings.
Yeah.
So on the weekend I did spend a bit of time doing that, and so that was fun, and it's nice to connect with people and just give them some direction. Yeah, because our guides don't tell us what to do; they actually direct you.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it's
All
cool.
right. Well, so thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for
And
having
to
me.
Paul for coming in,
Yes.
and Les for holding him up.
Oh, you know. Look at our hands.
It's just
It's fine.
So,
It's holding me up.
he's holding you up.
Oh, I need somebody to have been carrying you for ages.
Oh, okay. No comment. So what else is happening at Busybird, Les?
What else happened at Busybird, Michelle?
There's lots of things happening in
Always
Busybird.
The year is winding up.
So if you missed our Christmas party last week, shame on you.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Now tomorrow is our very last event. I'll be hanging out with Joe Johnson down in Frankston, talking about where to take your story for next year.
Apparently Frankston.
And on the 1st, which is actually Sunday, isn't it?
Yes.
Sunday?
Yes.
We are opening our submissions for our pitch to publish competition.
Let's go get an entry form,
And,
Sam. It's by the G. So when people see the entry form, they see the G, they go, oh, G.
Yep.
Yes. No.
Thank you.
So this is to win a publishing package. So you're eligible for this, Michelle, to win a publishing package worth $12,000. So
Nice.
yes. So if you're wanting to write and publish your book in 2020,
Thanks, Sam.
that is actually a really good prize, I think, isn't it? Yes. All right. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for
Week.
coming in. Week. Yes.
See ya.
See ya.